I'm down here at the ALEC Welcoming Committee protest, and I'm here with, what's your name?
Jill Jones.
Jill Jones of?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City. And what is your role here tonight?
I'm a member of Peaceful Uprising, but I've also been serving as a legal observer for the National Lawyers Guild for the last couple of days. So I'm not sure that's what we're going to be doing tonight, but if we are, then that's what the role I'll be playing.
Okay, so possibly legal observer. And can you tell me a little bit about the action that's about to start?
I don't know anything about it. All I know is it's sponsored by the Salt Lake Dream Team, and I think they've done some really important work in Salt Lake, and so I want to support it.
Okay. What can you tell me about ALEC and the protests that are going on?
I mean, it's an outrageous organization. It's another example of the corporatization of everything. It's outrageously declares itself a charity when in fact it's involved in the lobbying business in the worst way. It's an embarrassment to be living in a state where legislators actually belong to this organization, because who's really eliminated in this whole process of ALEC are the citizens. And so I feel like an organization like this is really a threat to our democracy, and that's the reason why I think it's so important to fight against it.
Okay. And you are familiar with the Dream Team, and is that who is putting on the event tonight?
They are. They are.
Can you tell me a little bit about the work that they do and why you have good feelings about it?
Well, they've been very active in actually supporting legislation that would provide immigrants with a path to citizenship, and I think that's really important, specifically the DREAM Act. And of course, Obama's, I think it was an executive order, actually permitting immigrant children to go to college, I think has been a move in the right direction. So they're probably pretty delighted with that development.
Okay. And are there other important issues that we should touch upon on this interview?
You know, the thing that's so interesting about ALEC is that there isn't an issue that you can touch upon that ALEC doesn't have their fingers in. So it's a multi-issue organization, because they're kind of perverting the process on every level, you know, from prison privatization to education privatization to voter suppression to environmental degradation. I mean, it's all supported by ALEC. So,
prison privatization, can you speak to that?
Well, you know, or at least a lot of the prisons today are now managed by private companies, and the purpose of prisons is no longer rehabilitation. It's now profit making, and so I think conditions in prisons are getting worse and worse. I think the incentives that this creates is that the more people that are arrested in prisons, the more profits there are to be made. So I think it really corrupts the whole notion of imprisonment, and particularly of rehabilitation. People getting into trouble with the law and being in prison. And now with privatization of prisons, there's just no pretense of rehabilitation.
It certainly sounds like a conflict of interest.
It is a conflict of interest, yeah.
Because there's a financial motive for recidivism, and
that's right.
Not to say that, you know, people who run these private prisons want them to reoffend, but if they do reoffend, they're making money. So
that's right.
That's
right.
Kind of a disconnect there.
Yeah. And the number of people that are in prison and the increase in that number would seem to suggest that that's exactly how the incentive is getting played out. So.
Do you think that that's related to the war on drugs?
Oh, definitely. It's related to a lot of things. It's related to the war on drugs. It's related to immigration. One of the things, every private prison gets a certain amount of money for every immigrant that is in prison. And it probably has a lot to do with political groups like this, because there's always the threat, of authorities, coming down on dissenting groups, and people are going to end up in prison.
Okay. Is there anything else that we should talk about, or is there things that we're not covering that we should?
Well, I think DeChristopher is actually a great example of that. I mean, he's a political prisoner who, I remember when I woke up the day after Tim bidded on the lease land at the auction, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know anything about the auction, but I read about what he had done, and I thought, boy, this is what people should be doing. And I was really inspired by his courageous act, and very disturbed by the fact that he got a 2-year felony charge brought against him for doing that.
And the organization you're with, Peaceful Uprising?
It's an economic justice organization. It focuses on a lot of issues, but economic justice is a primary issue, and one of the reasons why it is because everything else is related to economic justice and climate justice.
Okay. Do you think that the Republicans and the Democrats do you think that either party is better than the other on these issues?
I think the Democrats are better on the issues, but the way that politics is going these days with the influence of money and corporate money, it's neither party is on the right track.
Yeah. Do you support third-party candidates?
I actually do.
Yep.
I actually do. If they represent issues in ways that I find resonant with my own values.
What do you think of Ruck Anderson and Gary Johnson, the Justice Party candidate and the Libertarian candidate for president?
Well, I think it's healthy to have third-party candidates. I don't know that much about their campaigns, and there's probably less in the press about their campaigns than certainly there was about the Nader third-party campaign. But with the way the media is set up and the system set up, I think it's very, very hard for a third, fourth, or fifth kind of party to be there. But I think it would be very healthy, actually.
Okay, and I guess we've covered all of the bases. I'm sure that there's 100 questions we could go over, but thank you for the interview.
Thank you.